Hello, this is Prince, and this is a quick introduction to C++. And I'll make it brief. I'll just be trying to write a simple C++ code and explain the syntax with it. So you have to follow me, and I may link it to HTML. So those who know HTML, you can find a meaning out of that by using the simple one. C++ code introduction for you to get a syntax. Over here, I'm not going to teach anything very hard, but I'm going to talk about just a little bit syntax. And forgive me, I'm not also having a good compiler though. I'm using GCC compiler, and I may be writing the code on the terminal because I'm using Linux, I'm using Parrot, and some of you are using Windows and stuff, but I'm using Parrot over here. Parrot over here is actually Linux, and I'm going to use the terminal to write this code for you. So whenever it's a code, I'll use the terminal and I'll save you that. So if okay, then we can go. Anyways, this is C++, and this is the terminal I was talking about. So we can start by opening a file in the terminal. So let me set this into insert mode and insert some text. I'm just inserting a text over here. The text can be the header of the C++ code, as we all know, include IO stream or input output stream. And what again do we need? We have to get a namespace for it. So using namespace, sorry for the space. Okay, space std, that's standard. Let's end the statement. What again? Let's call the main function int main. What again? Let's write into the function or put something into the function. That's the any statement like log. So let's see, we are collecting something from someone, or for you all know forms. When you go online, you'll be like, fill the forms, write your name, blah blah blah. How do they provide the space for you to fill the forms? They use what we call in C++ cin. So C, you are taking something in. So let's use cin. Obviously, and we also have cout. So let's always use cout, and the insertion sign there, cout something like welcome. Okay, welcome to TTU. So what would this code do? This code over here will just print something in the string and give us cout. What is cout? Cout is, it will give us information on the screen, and the information is welcome to TTU. Okay, so cout welcome to TTU. What will the program or the software do again for you, or the language? What should it do? Okay, you can say that C collect something for us. C in this. Obviously, C in. So this is C in. That's for collecting something inside. And if you have used C in, cout before, maybe you have seen it anyway. That's it. Okay. And okay, sorry, I forgot something. And we have the last part, that's return something over here. And the return value based on what is over here. What do we use up here? We use what we call int. Int means integer. So since the int here the main function has been specified as int. You have to return an int type data type. We will talk about data types later. So we have to return something that is an integer. Okay, so what do we return? Maybe return 0. Return 0. 0 means nothing, obviously. So let's just close the function here, because we have finished putting something into the function. So we have closed it. That's a quick overview to C++. We sometimes use hello world. I just introduced this one, the cin, for you, some of you to get what cin means. Cin means in Python we call it input, or in HTML is input. Obviously. So this in. Let me just move on to our writer. So what we just did here is to write a simple code. So check the code over here. Check it over here. Let me just copy it in. Let me copy it. Okay, unfortunately I can't copy. So you check. First of all, let's mark this one. The hash include IO stream. What does it mean? What does it mean to hash include IO stream? So there is it. So this is what we wrote. Hash include, let's see, IO stream. What am I talking about over here? What does this mean? Let's explain. So the hash include IO stream in every C++ program means that we are trying to call something. What do you mean by calling something? Okay, the hash include over here in Python. Some of you don't know Python, but I'm trying to do something. In Python, the hash include over here can be known as, let's say the hash include in C++ is the same as in C++ is the same as import in Python. What do you mean by import? Import means we all know the word import, right? Okay, so that's import for you. So we are trying to call it, or we want to insert it. So the hash include over here in C++ or in Python means import. So what do you want to import? Okay, the IO stream over here is just talking about what kind of thing do you want to import. I will explain the IO stream, but import in Python is like import something. The thing over here in Python will be like the module name. What's the module? It's a collection of functions or collection of variables stored in a single file. So if you collect a whole lot of functions and you store it in a single file, or classes or object in a single file, we call it a module or a program. So over here in Python, let me exit this. Let me exit it and open a new terminal. Okay, so in Python over here, in Python, let me just do a simple thing in Python for you guys to know. So for this one in Python, it's like to be like something like this. To be like, let me call Python first. So let's see Python. Let me call Python. Okay, I've opened Python. So what do I mean by import in Python? Import in Python means this. Import. What am I going to import? Okay, maybe I'm going to use Tkinter. Tkinter is a interface designer in Python, and I want to use it to design maybe some interface. Okay, so what should I do if I want to use Tkinter? When I just start write Tkinter like this, Tkinter, you see what is the file? It throws an error. Tkinter is not defined. Have you seen? So in this case, I was trying to call something that is not in the scope of what I'm doing, but I'm coming to do something else. What if I do import Tkinter? Have you seen? You see nothing came. This means that you have successfully imported the files in Tkinter, and now I can use it. So if I can see the root, I'm not coming to Tkinter, so I'm stopping over here with Tkinter.tk. So I can just continue. Have you seen? So this is an interface designer, as I said. So if I package this, and what will happen? It's like I've created a new program here. So this one is like a program. So this is a program I'm trying to create, or maybe let's say a software or app. So this Tkinter over here will help us design an interface like this. So if I continue, I can add buttons, maybe text on it. So this is a simple program I just created just right now with Python in Tkinter. You see, at first when I just wrote Tkinter over here, what will happen? You see that something that's happened over here means that the module or the function that you are trying to use is not defined, which means I have not called it, I have not imported it. But over here, when I import Tkinter and try to use it over here, it's safe, and I even have finished my software with that. So in Python, whenever you want to use anything, you have to import it. The same thing in C. C, this is called a module. The IO stream is called a module. It's a module, right? It's okay. And what does it mean, IO? IO means something over here. IO means input, output. So in other ways, the thing is trying to say that import. So let's see in Python. If it was in Python, sorry, like import IO stream, so it will become import input output stream. Have you seen? So this one is include input output stream. Include input output stream. Have you seen? So which means that we are going to either do something with a file or maybe a text. We are going to manipulate a text. Your program is going to manipulate the text, and the operating system must be informed. So you are trying to tell the operating system that is operating the system right, that's at that very moment that the operating system is going to input something, is going to collect input, and at the same time it's going to give an output. Do you get it? So this one is telling the operating system that, or the computer, that we are going to use something we called we are going to utilize the function of inputting and outputting. That's all. So this one can be read as include IO stream. But in Python, you can say that import IO stream straight away like that. But this one is import IO stream, or sorry, include IO stream, which is trying to say that we are trying to call or import the IO stream. We are telling the operating system that we are going to use input and output functions. That's all. So that's the first one, or the heading. That's what the heading is trying to say. Let's continue. This is the first part. So the hash include means import. So hash include IO stream. There are modules there. This is just a simple module. There are a lot of modules there, like Qt. Qt is actually a framework, and it's a module you have to import to Qt and stuffs in C++. And the more you move on, you'll be using them. Okay, let me continue from this side. We also have this one. We also have the second one, that's using namespace, right? Namespace std. This one, I hope you all understand it, right? This is a part of the program. I'm breaking it down for you. Using namespace std. What does it mean? Using namespace std. Using namespace std. What does it mean? Okay, the using over here is trying to tell the operating system also something over here. We are trying to tell the operating system that the operating system must operate based on what we are giving it. So when we are giving it a variable, the operating system must know that this is a variable, this is a function, this is an object, or this belongs to a certain class, or blah blah, or this is a value. So if you don't use a namespace std, do you know what we are going to do? In Python, we do something. We import statement, as I did here. We import statement. Do you know that there is another way I can do this? You see, when I wrote import Tkinter, I also did root. This one is called a variable. It's storing what I wrote, this code over here. That's the code I wrote as this code here. It's storing this code. Let me just do it. It's storing tkinter.tk. Let me write this in another way. Let me quit it. Let me exit the Python interpreter. Obviously, there's an exit lockers. Let me just use the Ctrl+D to exit this fast. Let me exit it and call the Python interpreter again. What am I going to do this time? I'm going to show you the other way I was trying to say that, using namespace in C++. Using namespace std. What does it mean? What does it mean in Python? Sometimes you have to be specific. In Python, it becomes specific when we add certain names to it. For example, I did import Tkinter, right? So let me do the same thing here, and I will not recognize certain things, and you see what will happen here. Import what I called Tkinter. I love this interface. That's why I'm using it as an example, Tkinter. And let me get root function. Root equals, what am I going to do over here? Okay, let me get the tk. You see what is happening? Trace back, most recent call, last file, std in, standard input, line 1 in module, name error, name tk is not what it defined. But what happened here? You see, in the first one over here, I used tkinter.tk, which means that I'm referring to, that's object-oriented programming. You are not yet there, please, I beg. I'm just introducing the term. I will explain later if maybe I'll continue with this. So this belongs, the tk over here belongs to the Tkinter. It's part of, Tkinter is the main file or the name of the file. So if you call it like this, most of the packages in Tkinter will be unveiled. And how do we navigate Tkinter, or how do you call files in Tkinter? So maybe you have called Tkinter. What file are you going to call again? You want to call the tk file. So if you want to call the tk file, let the language know that, or the compiler know that the tk file is found in Tkinter file. Have you seen? Or the tk text or document is found in Tkinter file. So what you are going to do is, we see that tk dot is in Tkinter. We are opening what? Tk. So the tk must be found in Tkinter. So Tkinter.tk means that we are calling tk from Tkinter. And in this case, look at what I did. I just wrote import tk root is equal to this tk, and it's trying to tell me that what over here and what over here is different, because I'm trying to call something that does not exist, or the name is error, is not defined, does not exist, which means that it only exists in a particular place or in a particular file called Tkinter. Though I have called Tkinter, but I'm not trying to say that tk, I'm calling the tk from Tkinter. Have you seen? So this one, I'm trying to be specific on this place. The specific I'm trying to be is, I'm trying to tell the computer that tk is found in Tkinter. In over here, I do not tell the computer. So the computer is trying to tell me that it does not know tk. And let me try another method and see what the computer will see. Import Tkinter as tk. Have you seen? Another term has been produced as tk. Okay, let me continue and see whether I will face any problem this time. Equals tk. You see the same thing I wrote up here, that it throws error. See what will happen now. Another error, file linus cd blah 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 modules is not callable. Where is it? Where is it? File trace back most recent call module this blah 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 is not callable. Okay, let me just correct the mistake. Let me use a from. So from Tkinter, import everything. You see this? Import everything. Look at the everything over here. Import everything. Everything in Python is a star. From Tkinter, import everything. So we are going to use every file in it. That's a using namespace. Let me use this to explain. So using namespace standard or STD. STD means here. STD over here means standard. Okay. So using namespace standard, which means that we are going to use something called some names that are standard. So when we write that names, the machine should know that what we are trying to do is the standard name it knows, not any other foreign name. For example, what I did here means that I'm trying to be specific that the names I'm coming to use over here are standard, which means that I've imported everything. So the machine to be aware that all these files, if I call any name from that file, is the standard name that it knows in Tkinter, not any other name from anywhere. Are you getting it? Not any other name from anywhere. So you see that now it is functioning. Though I did not use the first method, but now it is functioning. As you see, the app will be functioning if I compile it and send it to you guys. So let's continue. We are done with the Python side. We are done with Python side. So I use this to explain that Python side to explain that include IOStream in Python means import. So we are importing, we are calling some files. What is the name of the file? That's the module that we are calling, collection of files. And in this case, this one is IOStream, and the IO, I said, this means input output. So we are trying to include input output stream. A stream is just an event that is coming to happen. So it's like it is an arrangement of events, scheduled events. It's continuous. It happens. Okay, it's like the same thing as the days of the week. That's a stream. So Monday, it is in a stream-like order. So from Monday it goes to Tuesday. So one happened before the other will happen. If there is no Monday, there is no Tuesday. So that's how a stream is. If there is no this, there will no be output. If there will not be any input, there will not be any output. That's input-output stream. If there is output, maybe there must be an input. Some outputs are not clicked or they are not viewed by the users. Some clicks that you make on some website, if you click on something, you see there will be an output. So that's if you are clicking, you are inputting, and the output is what you see as a result. So the computer should add that feature to us. So the computer should be smart in that way. So the namespace you are trying to say, we are trying to bring some references to a certain name. So in Tkinter, I use TK. TK is a name known. Okay, and over here, there are some names that are known to the computer. So for example, if I do not use using namespace over here, let's continue. What is the cout? I explained that the cout over there, and this sign is called the insertion sign. Insertion. The insertion sign. Let me put it. This sign is the insertion sign. So let me bring it here. That's the insertion. That's the explanation. So C, that's how we pronounce it. Cout. And the sign over there, I said, is insertion. And the insertion sign. And the insert of your insertion sign, cout. Obviously. So the computer is trying to insert something. So cout, that's it. So cout means we are trying to print something on the screen. So in Python, I can see that the cout over here, it means you are coming to print something for Python. So let me open the terminal for you guys. Let me open the terminal very fast. Open the terminal very fast. Sorry for delaying. Oh, this is delaying. That's the terminal gone cry. Massa. I want to be fast with this. Next time we'll use the VS Coding for you guys tutorials. Oops. Okay, this is a terminal. So this is a terminal. and I'm trying to explain the C out, right? The C out or the insertion sign. So maybe it's like C out, and we have the insert sign. Okay, so this one, it's basically for something you get the, but just get the syntax, how we arrange the syntax, how the syntax means. We have the C out sign, but first we all know that we have done something. We have done what is important, the body of the code. The body of the code, that's the main function. The main. This is a void function. Why is it a void function? Because it does not return anything. If you bring a return type, it's no more a void function, but it's rather an integer function. So int over here means integer. Okay, int over here means integer, and int mean. This place we used to add something there. When you get to functions, you know. Let's continue from there. And this sign over here, curly brackets, trying to show that we are trying to, import certain things, or we are trying to write a certain things over there. So this is a place that we write our C thing. So this C thing that we used to write inside there is called a statement. So we are trying to write a statement inside this function. Have you seen? So we are trying to put this statement in this. So this can be a document, and this thing can be the name of the file. It means, are you getting it? So we store document in a file. You all know. Okay, so we are putting this document in this file. So if you are saying we are putting, you have to open it first. And if you are opening, that's the curly bracket open. We write all that we want to write. After that, what do? We close the file, right? So curly bracket close. You get it? So this thing is supposed to be in this place. Have you seen? And after that, let me use, be writing the code. So let me write the code. After that, what should you do? Close. After that, what do we do? Whenever you write a statement in English, what do? You add full stop, right? That's nice. So in C++, our full stop over that end statement is this one, semicolon. So semicolon end statement is a full stop in C++. So whenever you write a certain statement, you have to end it with full stop. But in C++, it's not full stop. Full stop is in English. In C++, it is semicolon. Okay, let's continue with the syntax. We are trying to just know the syntax. So we have split C out and stubs. So what's next again? We have also what you call the return type. Return type. What should be like? On here saying, should it return something that's nice or something that is cool? The return type is based on what is written over here. So have you seen? Since there is something that we are returning in this place, and what we are returning in this place is what we called over here as what we call integer, and we are trying to return integer, which means that over here, whatever that we want to return, we have to write it in the form of how it looks like. So integer over here. So let's say return what we are trying to, since we are returning integer. So what do we want to return, or what do you want to be your result? That's a return. Return an integer. So an integer, you can add any integer except negative numbers. I have never seen something like that before. So you can add maybe 6, maybe 0, or any type. So I'm adding 0. Full stop. Have you see? But this one is part of our file, though is the conclusion part, but we have to add also the conclusion part of our statement in this, as you know. Okay, so we are continuing. So this is the code I think I wrote, right? Let me just make it horrible as I'm making it for you guys to know. Let me bring something here. Oops. Okay, let me bring something here. I'm writing the code. I'm trying to select a font for you to write the code. So I'm very sorry if I'm delaying. the code again. So the code I wrote was this. The code I wrote was this: hash include first. That's a heading. I will break it down as English on HTML for you to see as well. Hash include. You want to bring out something. Include what? What do you want to include? Include what? Include IOStream. There is something I missed, so let me get back to it. So it's like you're putting it in a certain thing for you to be. Since the computer doesn't know anything, you have to teach it. Using what? A namespace. A specific name for them. The name that we have in your storage, that's a namespace. Using the namespace, and it's standard, as you all know. Using the namespace standard, std. So we said int. That's the code I'm writing again. Int main. What? Main, we said it's a function or it's a file. We want to put our thing. It's a main file. We want to put all our documents inside. So let's put our first document or statement inside. And our document is this. Open the file. So we are opening it with a bracket. It means we are telling the computer that when we said we call the file our main file or our main drawer, we want to put certain things in it. So we are opening it. So we tell the computer to open it. So this thing over here is open. So open the file. And what should you do? Cout. Write something in it like hello world. Hello world. Hey, programming norm. Hello world. That's it. Hello world. What again? Am I done? No, I have not ended a statement. So full stop. That's a full stop over here in semicolon, as I said. And what do? We have to return nothing. Return 0. Have you all seen it? That's the integer type. It's based on what I said up there. So you can play it again. You hear it back. Okay. Then what should you do? You have to close our drawer. So let's close our drawer with the close curly bracket. Okay. So this is the overview of the code, and I've explained each symbol one by one. And I guess now you know the syntax. Unless we are going to get a new or more complexity, we can get inside of this. But first, as I said, we know something is good now. Right now we know something. And when we talk about C++, it's very cool and nice. So as I said, the header file IOStream. Okay, so everything is done as I said. So there's a quick introduction to C++, and I just introduced to you the syntax. Okay, we have not done anything yet, just the syntax that I explained to you. Okay, so I said the main function does not really have to do anything other than the present inside or be present inside your C++ source code. So it is not going to do anything like it's supposed to be present in your C++ source code. So it's like a drawer. That must be in your room that keeps other plenty or lot of stuffs. So the main function must to keep all the files. It cannot be recursively or it cannot be called repeatedly times. You can write it only once because drawer can see into drawer by 50 measure them. So it's like auto backup now the fast in. So this just we are writing this side only once. When we write this function, we put all other functions in it and files and statements. You put it inside. You cannot address it or you cannot do anything insane with that. So it is mandatory and it's by force. So you can just see in, as I said. Let me just introduce some of the things. So we have cin. Cin, it means input. It means you are collecting input from user. cout, as I said, it means print. Some of the statements, we have bool. Bool is a data type of a certain data, and it stands for boolean, which only make his friends or deals with only true or false. So only any true or false thing is called boolean. True or false. That's all. It deals with only true or false. It cannot store any other files again. It stores only true or false files. As far as the integers and those things can store other files. And with all due respect, you also have what we call floats. That's just something that you have to know. We also have float. That's decimal point. A single decimal point. Single decimal point. We also have double. As you said, 2 or more decimal point or more, let's say decimal point. We also have the data. We have string. String is not actually a data type. It's actually maybe a function. So string in this one is called, let's say, a word. Let's say a word. Yes, that's a word. So maybe come, C-O-M-E, is a word. It is made of a lot of alphabets. So C-O-M, they are alphabet. So when you add all those alphabets together, it becomes a string. But in C++, we call it array of characters. When we say array, we want to arrange certain things by giving it index number. So in array, let me just introduce you array. In arrays, we give it, arrays have index numbers. Okay, so in arrays they have index numbers. And I said that. So what if I write the come? As I said, the come, what happens here? Each of them has an index number. Let's see. The C has an index number of 0. The C has index number 0. The U has index number. The C is having an index number of 0. The U is having an index number of 1. The M is having an index number of 2. So in that manner, so you can just see what I'm trying to do. So the first one over here is 0. The second is 1, 2, 3, and it continues. That's array. If you have the almighty char or the character, that's character, and its short form is char. You see, you have integer. The short form is int. So char. And whenever you want to write a char function or char data, you have to know that the char data cannot be, the computer only knows zeros and ones. So let the compiler know which kind. So the char functions must be with this. Like each, example is each is a char function and must always be inside single or double quote or triple quote. You can. But char functions always is in a single quote or double quote. Are you getting it? So for example, this over here, though this one is strange, hello world, an array of characters. But when I'm writing a char data type or declaring a variable like this, so I can say that the variable name is int. When we say a variable is just simple. A variable is just like the envelopes. Yes, an envelope. What do we do into an envelope? We put the files in the envelopes and we later put the files in the drawer. So first you have to get your envelope and put your files inside. Okay, so int is just a variable. It's just trying to describe a certain type of variable. So we have, maybe you have brown envelopes, white envelopes, blah blah blah. But this one, int, is trying to describe the type of variable. Which type is which type? Are you getting it? So the type of variables we are going to print, or the type of envelope that we did over here, maybe we did blank envelope. So int is a certain kind of envelope. Also int or integer. So it's integer, then we call int. Int, what kind, and the name comes, the name of the envelope. But in this case, it's like, it's not envelope though, but it's like a place that we store files or we store variables. Sorry, we store data. Place we store data. Storage room. So int, which kind of things that we want to store in the storage room? It's like you have containers for storing sugar, salt, and blah blah blah, Milo and that. So you have to write the name on it. So int, which kind of integer? Let's call this int s. It's an s. This means what I'm doing here over here in variables, we call it variable declaration or defining definition. So definition, because of this equal to sign, is called an assignment operator. So we define the variable. So it's having what we call 5, the number 5 inside. So this data is carrying number 5. The F S be a kind of print S or there with much C out S, which in this case we write C out S and use our compiler. Say program run here, you know what will happen. This one will print S. Will print what is inside the S. So the S, I said that it's like envelope. So what is inside the S is what? 5. The value is 5, right? So in this case, the formula here, we use a certain formula. It can help if you like. So there's data type. The type of data I want to store, that's the integers and the rest, as I was writing down the name of the thing, equal to, or opening it and put what inside, the value. After putting the value, you full stop down. So there is a formula. You see what I did here. So int, that's the data type. Over here is the int. That's the, let me just make it quicker. Let me make it nice for some of us to just get. That's the int man. So obviously I'm linking it red. And the name of what I wrote here, obviously name, obviously something, and the value. Obviously the value. The value is the 5. Or what is inside is the 5. So you get this as I have linked it. That's the formula I used here. So the data type, that's the int. Name of the data, that's the x. And the value inside it is the 5. We can also have another data type. I said we have also the data type as a char. So char, what type of character you want to store? My name. The name of this function is my underscore prince. And in place I want to store ABCD. So ABCD, you all know that ABCD is character, right? Or a single character. Let's see E. I want to store E. And let me close it. So in Prince, what is inside? So the data type says that in Prince, the data type of the thing is what? Prince, char. And we have my Prince. My Prince is the name over here. That's the name, my Prince. And we also have equal to. What's the equal to doing here? That's I said the assignment. It means we want to assign it a certain value. And the value over here is what? E. And you see something different here. Here is having quotation marks, obviously. So the value must be put inside a quotation mark. But here is not having quotation mark. That's why I said. You see, computer actually knows numbers. And for integers, it's a number. So for integers, you don't have to do any specific thing for it. You can just write it like that. It doesn't need any kind of quotation marks. But for characters, it always needs quotation marks. You see, we said string too needs quotation mark before, like this. It needs quotation marks before because we all know that string is what I explained. What is string is? It's an array of characters. So group of characters, obviously like come, characters near the or alphabet near the boom near friend string. So because it belongs to that family, it also needs quotation. So these are some of the data types I was trying to write here. Cout and CL, they are special functions. It's not a data type. They are standard function. That's why we've used the standard here, using namespace standard, which means you are calling some standard names. And there's some of the standard names is what I placed here as the standard names is here. This is the C in means input, C out means print. And these are some of the data types that guys, I think you have to know. Data types. Data types, I think you guys have to know. So example of the data types is what I gave there. So you guys have to know some of the data types. So data types: bool, float, double, string, arrays. It's like string is the same as arrays. We have character. After the character, you have double we just wrote it, sorry. You have bytes. It's also a data type. You will know bytes. In IT, you have to know bytes. You also have what you called let me see some simple data types that you have to know. You know bool now, float, double, integers, that's the int. You have also know string or arrays. I think it's okay for now. Let's also know some simple modifiers. But it's okay. Modifiers is so complex. So now with this, you have to know that because you are trying to declare a variable, that this is called variable declaration. Variables. We have variable declaration, storage for keeping data, as I said. So we can declare the variables or define the variables. Declare them or define them. When we are declaring them, we give them values. Means or defining, give it a value instantly. We give them values instantly. Okay. So for example, what you wrote here. Like we are int m equals 3. So this one we have given it a variable, a value. So this is what you call declaring a variable. How I spell the declare or defining. Okay. So if you have heard of any defining, that's it. We are trying to give it a value. It means we are defining it. And we also have initializing. So initializing a variable. So this is it. Initializing the variable, which means that we are trying to tell the computer that we are going to use something like m, but now we are not giving it any value. So for example, no value yet. It's called no value yet. Let's see, no value yet. We are just trying to tell the computer we will use something. So if you write int m over here like this, int m, we are not going to use any variable at all. We can just close it or end. So this kind of thing that we write over here, this is a name, right? This data, the type kind of data, that's integer, and this is a name, that's the m, and this is the full stop, as I said. I call it full stop because it will make me remember. Semicolon though I know, but it's full stop as in C++. So we save integer m. Wow. So this is an integer. M is the name. So as I said, integer m is having a value of 3. That's declaring or defining it. And integer m, no value. We are just ending it. It means that we are trying to tell that you give it a value, but not yet. So after it, if you want to give it a value, look at how we do it. You can just write m is equal to 3 and end it. You see, it will give it a value of m. So over here, if you write this and write m is equal to 3, the compiler understand that, okay, so you said that int m. Now that we are coming to give m value, we can just write m is equal to 3. So this one can just use a whole lot of them, like int m. You can also say that int m c. We are trying to tell the way in a single file d. Have you seen? So we can say that we are trying to say that int m is having a value of 3. We are giving the value. Ubetumi attrash a line. Ubetumi as an line say, and as a pa metro another way. V so ubetumi can say a man value 5. D so ubetumi can say a man value b to say 6. Have you seen? So this initializing. Yet when your man value be only initializing. Giving it a value means we are defining it. So we should boom with a value defining or declaring. So we can also write it like this. You can also write it this way. Int m equals 3. That's like the one we said. Or we can write int m has no value. Int vin. Have you seen? We am kwasiasem. Which one is here? Over space. Int d pen is any amitrono as true as she says of a fair say na also bit me as she say. So open is this one. No one man values no one as a. So these variables, and I think this is how I'll end it. I started with defining the syntax for you, and I think let me just finally group them syntax for you. So the main thing I want you to know that for us to see that in HTML, we know that there is something we call heading in HTML or in ultra letter cloud English. Other one heading, I think so. So this side, we can call this side of our program heading. We can call this side of our program. Again, can call this side of our program heading. Okay, so this side is the heading of the program. Heading. This side is called what? Heading. In yellow. This side of our program is boldly called heading. This is heading. Oh, where is this? Heading. This one. Do we? Says near man way. Your friend no function. Your friend function. Your friend function. Your friend function. And this one, inside the function, whatever you write there is called statement. It's called statement. So which they could tin crowd ishima still your friend statement. And found send a main function and a function beyond there is called a statement. So inside this is what's over a statement. And when we are ending the statement, we ending it a return. So the result should be in the form of integer, that's 0. I use 0 as an integer. You can use 1 or any kind of value. So obviously, so we are ending. So it's like a letter writing file, something like that. In letter writing, you know we have heading. Put it in your head like this. We have heading. We also have. So we have 3 parts of C++ program. So every C++ program have a heading, a body, and the last person is conclusion. Right? Or we have conclusion. So every C++ program has a heading. So the heading, look at the color for the heading. The heading is made up of your importing system. That's the include hash, the IO stream, the kind of thing you want to use. And this one is standard. Every C++ program, because you do either input a file and output a certain file, or input a text and output a text, you have to code it. This is mandatory. Hash include IOStream. Some of the code areas or platforms, IDE or integrated development environment, some of them, they write it for you straight away, so you don't have to write again. And we also have using namespace std. We have to call that the names that in the file that we are calling the input output system, it is standard, and if you write it anywhere, it is the name that it is inside it. So it's standard names that inside we are going to use. So there's some of the standard names in IOStream is this, the C in and C out. As I said, it's a standard name which belongs to the IOStream file that we called or imported. That's using a name or all the names, or making all the names standard. And we also have int main. That's the main function, or the body. Every race will also have a body, so you have to know body. This is a body. So the body is the int main function. And after the body, what should you do in letters? We write our body, every blah 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 we write, and we conclude it. That's the conclusion, the return type. So since the body, when we are starting the body, you see what you wrote in the letter will determine what will be at the conclusion. So what you started with over here, int, must be determining what you are going to end with. So since it is integer, we can't just say return e, no, false, because we started with integer. The main function, we said it is an integer, so you have to return what? Integer. Also, there are some cases I have seen these ones. Let me just conclude. They see out. They sometimes write the C out like this. Wow. Have you seen? Or sometimes I think it's like this. C out. Before you write your insertion sign, and before you are going to use this example, before we can write this in example, I think this man so infernal over Beham. Have you seen? Before you write this, sometimes you write this first, this stupid thing here. And this is as because we do not, if you don't include this using namespace std, if you don't add this in your program using namespace std, if you are writing CSS, C++ coding, if you don't add this, that's what should happen. Whenever you want to use print as the C out, you have to start with this. Have you seen? So it's advisable you start with that, because once that is like the Python, as I said, sometimes you have to say tkinter.tk. Have you seen? Because I say tkinter.tk, tkinter.tk. You say we mama chiro no, and ebi wo so am see me person me free one thing. Me dey ade bi buy a e betumi am me ye free wo. But that's from tkinter import tk. Star or star. Have you heard what I said? So also wait me specify no, sorry, I said in C++, I say using namespace std. So all the names you are coming to use are standard. So one trace I code here was to high. One trace I code here, my highlighting as well using namespace std. And no, and the bema so benam so ama names be a standard be obey used to be a we sell the standard shilling as the way you should. So it's advisable you use that one using namespace std, so that it will be simple. So this is just getting the syntax. So this tutorial means getting the syntax. And if you like it, you can request for more. So I'm Prince, and bye bye for now. You can request for more if you like, or more explanation or everything. If you like it, I will just give you more. So this is my first tutorial. See you next time. Bye.